let's be honest, it was a terrible night last night. It was a terrible night for women, for children, for the hundreds of thousands of hardworking immigrants who make this country go, for healthcare, for our climate, for science, for journalism, for justice, for free speech. It was a terrible night for poor people, for the middle class, for seniors who rely on Social Security, for our allies in Ukraine, for NATO, for the truth and democracy and decency. And it was a terrible night for everyone who voted against him. And guess what? It was a bad night for everyone who voted for him, too. You just don't realize it yet. And most of all,
after Trump won the presidential election, Jimmy Kimmel went on a little rant about all the people who had a bad night on November 5. After listening to that, I've come to the conclusion that Jimmy Kimmel is nothing more than a middle-aged girl. Jimmy talks about women, children, the immigrants, the poor, the middle class, and the seniors who rely on Social Security. Yet, under Biden and Kamala, it's women and children who have been the victims of increased crime, including rape and murder, due to the massive number of illegal immigrants from foreign prisons into this country. Young girls have also been victim to a school system that allows trans girls, in other words, biological boys, to use girls' bathrooms and to compete for spots on girls' sports teams, which takes away opportunities for biological girls to compete for athletic achievement. Regarding immigrants, Donald Trump has said repeatedly that he does want legal immigration, but not illegal immigration. But the leftist liars like Jimmy Kimmel will always try to conflate the two and mislead their audiences by leaving out that very important legal distinction. Regarding poor, middle class, and seniors, Donald Trump's economic policies include tax cuts for these groups. Very specifically, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on seniors' Social Security benefits. So once again, Jimmy is misleading people through his crocodile tears that Trump poses a danger to seniors' Social Security when Trump will take specific action to make their lives better. Regarding journalism, justice, free speech, truth, democracy, and decency, physician, heal thyself. The legacy media such as MSNBC, CNN, The Washington Post, The New York Times, ABC, NBC, CBS, and more have been polluting the political discourse with partisan reporting, inaccurate fact-checking, and demonization of both Donald Trump and his supporters. My advice to the libs: don't engage in lawfare against Donald Trump and those close to him. Don't suppress the Hunter Biden laptop story. Don't propagate the fake Steele dossier story. Don't try to force RFK Jr. off the ballot when it suits you, then force him to stay on the ballot when it suits you. Don't censor opposing views on social media. Don't cancel people for speaking out for common sense. Don't classify parents protecting their kids from the school system as domestic terrorists. Regarding our allies like Ukraine and NATO, I noticed that Jimmy did not mention Israel, one of the most important allies to the United States in the entire world. That silence spoke volumes. Trump will revive the Abraham Accords and sanctions against Iran to quiet things in the Middle East. Also, Trump says he wants to stop the killing between Ukraine and Russia instead of financing it forever. A lot of people are on board with that. And the reality of NATO is that they need us, we don't need them. They must continue to pay their fair share and realize that not every country like Ukraine can join NATO. That was not NATO's purpose. Finally, regarding healthcare, climate, and science, it's very well known that Trump will have RFK Jr. on his team in some capacity to work on healthcare and climate issues in a sensible way that doesn't crash the entire economy on an impossible to achieve 2040 EV mandate. And given that Trump wants to take trans ideology out of our school system, it seems that Trump is very much on board with actual science. Jimmy Kimmel, Stephen Colbert, Seth Meyers, and all the rest of you low T-count liberals, get off your ill-informed soapboxes, stop looking down your noses at the majority of Americans from all walks of life that voted for Trump, and just go back to entertaining us like the overpaid trained seals that you are. Scott said it, and now you've heard it. Thanks for listening.